MiniMandala number 9 will be inspired in the center, let's say, of this. It's an art that I haven't finished on a trinket box or tiny jewel box. I think we have space. Again, we're gonna be working a base for mandala. It's related to number 4, but I think it's nice to create these shapes here in this mini mandala and teach you some ideas about how to make sure all these tiny shapes are pretty much the same. We're gonna be working distance, precision. We're gonna be talking about also working on real small dots. It might be a little bit challenging, but it's gonna be worth it. We're gonna take it a rest a little bit with geometry, with tough geometry, and get ready because next week we're gonna have a toughy one in terms of geometry. But I wanted just to create these shapes. I am always inspired by Moroccan or Indian architecture. I love this curvy that gave me the sensation of flames, of something burning, like a passion inside our hearts. I associate the sensation of burning with passion for mandalas. And yes, I think we will have space at least to go to this central structure, and maybe, who knows, later on we can recreate some of these items in different mini mandalas, just to try something different. So the first thing we're going to do, we need the disc again, as always. We need the mini disc. We're gonna need a pencil, and we're gonna need a ruler for this. And also we're going to be needing a compass. You don't need a sophisticated compass. This is a great compass you can make an investment on because it really makes you steady. See, it's very steady. It doesn't open easily, so it helps keeping everything sharp. We're gonna need this. You're gonna need a scissor. If you can find this kind of paper that is transparent, this is something that I use a lot. It's pretty helpful. I'm gonna teach you how to use it to create molds, and we're gonna have a very nice class today. So we're going to start by finding the center. I have this at this point. I have this hole here that it wasn't supposed to be there, but I think we can be more or less eyeballing like a straight line. It's just to make an observation exercise. We can have the ruler here, and always remember to align this edge with 0 centimeters and 5 centimeters. My metric system is in centimeters. If you do work in inches, it will be around 2.5 inches here. Yeah, so visually we always can see if this part of the pizza is bigger or not than this. And then we can always make a mark on 5 centimeters, which be 2 centimeters and a half, and we can always make a straight line here. Of course, this is based on observation. I'm not using transporter. You can go to the previous classes just to check. But for example, just to show you here, if I get my transporter and I aligned with the center dot and with the horizontal lines, the vertical line is exactly going to be 290 degrees, which means the line is perfectly fine. And if I do the same procedure to the other side, it's gonna be pretty much the same. So I think it's eyeballing it because I want you also to develop that perspective of observation little by little. It takes time. I've shown in previous classes, you can go and check different ways to find in the center. Okay, this is one of them. But we have created molds, we have created geometry on a paper like this to find the center in divisions. You are free to go back to the previous MiniMandala classes. And of course, check all the learnings. So now we're going to start creating our first arabesque. To create the first arabesque, we have to go for small circles. And we're gonna open up our compass here to 1 centimeter. And we're going to we're gonna place the iron point here. We're going to create a 1 centimeter radium circle. Oops. Yeah, sometimes it's easier just to rotate instead of rotating the compass. So yes, we're going to have 1 centimeter of radium, 2 centimeters diameter circle. We have to create, this is the first step. And now we're going to open the compass for 1.5 centimeters. It's gonna be an extra. So we're gonna have 2 circles. One that is going to be 1 centimeter of radium, 2 centimeters of diameter, and the other one is 1.5 centimeters of radium and 3 centimeters of diameter. And now we're going to start our design. To me, what matters here more than anything is that we do practice observation skills. There are other ways to make this much more geometric, but I want you to teach you several techniques here. So if you look at this, it looks pretty much like a base of a heart, doesn't it? So we can imagine maybe this is the vertical line, the horizontal line. So let's think about this quadrant in the circle. And we can think from this line inside this part and from this side. So we're not dividing this in 3. Actually, this part has to be a little bit bigger. And let's suppose that we make a curve here as if we were going to make a heart. Yeah, so we're gonna have some sort of triangle here. And then we can try to make them as equal as possible, but don't worry if you don't get to that. We can then also project a center here, and then we can create a curvy shape, just like this. Yeah, so we've gotten ourselves a first arabesque to work on. You can do 2 things. Either you can recreate this shape, but they might not be equal. Or you can take this paper that is quite clear. See? You can see the shape we've created here, and we can copy the shape. This is rather small. And what we can do, but you can do this in bigger size, of course. Then we cut this shape. We have to be really careful and consistent. For example, if you sketch it, this shape, and you're cutting, for this to work, if you're cutting right beside the line, you have to keep doing that. You cannot just cut it like this and then cut right on top of the line, because then it's not gonna be nice. Yeah, and this is really tiny. It's rather small, but this is going to help us keep the same shape. This is how we create molds and make sure they are same size. Normally I keep these tiny molds for future occasions. And what we do is we set it up just like here. You have to note something. This part is bigger than this part. So you have to place the biggest part. Remember that this right here, and it has to be in the middle. You cannot just place it a little bit more to the left or to the right. It has to be aligned here. You can imagine, for example, for this part of the circle, a midpoint here. And then we have the center dots. And then we align the shape just like this. If it is difficult to keep up, you can always move it with a pencil. And then you press the finger strongly on it. And then you create the shape. Okay, then you can always do this, rotate, adjust, press with the finger, and create the shape. And of course, they are going to get together here on this line. And we're going to repeat the same thing here. We can always imagine a center line, or either you can make it much more geometric and divide the circle on 8 exact parts. I think it's better here than, and then we create the shape. Yeah, this part is a little bit more difficult because it's a small and in here we can always shape it up a little if we're not content, but at least it will give us perspective on it. Will gives us a lot of perspective. Yeah, look at this. So yes, this is what we're going to, how we're going to start. This is like arabesque. And now we can connect this mid part. We can think about this middle. See, we can think of a leaf shape, the shape of a leaf. Just like this. So what we do is that we think this is my midline between the arabesques. Then I can think of symmetric distances here. I think it's important that we try, and then we're gonna make a leaf. This one, I'm not gonna make a mold for this one. I'm just going to create a leaf because I want you to practice also observation. And again, I have this midline, then I imagine the distances here, the arriving point, and I make a leaf here, and another leaf here. Oops, see, this distance is bigger than this one. I think I have to make proper adjustments in here and in here. And we've created this beautiful shape that is gonna be the basis for our dotting. What I want you to think of is what we have learned today. We have basically calculated the half of the midpoint of the circle. We have used the ruler to do this, but basically we have observed half circle to the right, to the left, and then we created this horizontal line. We have created so far a mold to keep these shapes equal. This is something you can use at different sizes. I will show you later. I'm creating a huge mandala and I have another mold. You can make these molds, you know, any size you want. But we have created these leaves by observation, and these are leaves from nature. This is a little bit more stretch here. It's not that wide, but for example, in one of my plants, this dropped, and you can always use this shape, see, for your mandala. You can always use it in this direction or in this direction. In this case, it's a different leaf, but just to get you into perspective. Let me show you one mold that I've created for a big mandala. If you went to my Instagram account and here also in the YouTube channel, you will see a very short video showing how I create these shapes. This is a leaf as well, but it has an arabesque here below. So what I'm trying to show you is that you can use this technique in different shapes, in different sizes. For example, we could have created this leaf by using another mold. We used observation instead because I want you to contrast the technique of the mold versus when you eyeball things. Yeah, and this is pretty useful. This you're learning in this for this mandala at very small size, but you can make it as big as you decide to. So let's start outlining here our shapes. For the outline, I'm going to be using gold color. I love gold. I'm using also the wood stick, and we can always make a center dot. And that is something here, a decision point here. Either I'm going to show, I want to show you this. because these two, every two arabesques, they share this part. So either we make one line that will divide in two different paths. This is like a letter Y, can you see? Or we can work this out just like this, in which each arabesque, it's like two ways, see? I'm going to show you how to work this out. Yeah, so what I'm going to do, we're gonna make, it has to be a line of two dots. See? One together with the other. And these are really small dots, not the smallest that you could do, but they are really small. And then from here on, then we start moving towards the line, and we make walking the dots here in that curvy part. So we make one dot and then we go 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then we are going to be keeping this tiny distance between the dots. So in here I just have to be careful because this first dot is gonna be the same as this dot. And I have to observe very well because I have to keep distance, I have to keep consistency. So we have 1, 3 dots. Sorry. I don't pick much paint in my tool because I am not making super big dots. And then from here, as I get to the curve, then I decide to walk the dots on top of the shape. Can you see? Same thing here. So now that I am here, see, it's also observation. This dot is already done. And you can see here, it's like a tiny corridor. See that it will remain unpainted. And I want to paint just like this to keep the symmetry going on. This is going to be really, really important. But you can paint one first, the other second. I'm just trying to be consistent. Here, I'm getting here to near the curve, and then I walk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then here also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and I think in the end, yeah, this distance was a bit wider. This was a smaller distance, but you know, it's part of what we are learning. I want to show you. I love precision, but sometimes even if you're not that precise, it will look beautiful either way. Okay, and I'm here near the curve. So I think this center dot is a little bit more closer to this arabesque. So I've decided to make a bigger center dot. And looking at the corridors, I think these and these are same size. These ended up being closer, but in the end it's not gonna make much of a difference. It's gonna be beautiful anyway. So in here I'm going to start making bigger dots here. because I want to give the sensation that the dots are disappearing here in darkness, but in here they are rebirthed again. And then I am going to make same size dots around this curve. See, it's 4 dots just for the curve to be pronounced and to be deep, can be seen. And from here on, I'm just gonna work the dots. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, so in here I'm just gonna have to make 1, 2, 3 dots. And we have gotten an arabesque here. If you're all over to Middle Eastern architecture or something, or I don't know why I love that these things, they look exotic to me. These shapes, they look nice to me. Yeah, so I have to be consistent. I have to keep 4 dots same size, and then I'm gonna work the dots 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, well, 3, 4. They got together. I think in the end this is a little bit bigger, and also this leaf is closer to this arabesque than this. These are things that I want you to observe, and things that happen in real life when we're creating arts. Okay, so this looks pretty much like this one. And in here we try to keep, I'm making these 4 dots for the curve. And same thing here. Okay. And then we have to observe about the leaves. See, for example, this leaf, if I went to outline the leaves, what would happen? This leaf looks closer to this than this one. So what do we do in that respect? We wait a little bit till this actually dries out, because then, for example, as we erase, these tiny particles could come over the paint and destroy what we're doing, see? So yeah, let's wait a little till it dries out. But while it dries out, for example, this one looks good, same distance from here to here. This one looks okay. This one looks a little bit to the left, not to the right. And this is so basically because these lines, the horizontal and the vertical line, they were right. The thing is that in the end, the arabesques might be always a little bit bigger. So in here is when I reshape. I can always reshape for the same distance, even if it means that I don't follow exactly these lines. So what I'm going to do now is just to place, for example, now I have to be really, really careful, because on the circle, the circle that is 1.5 centimeters has 1.5 centimeters of radium. Let's make a big dots here. And then I'm gonna walk the dots to here. See? And also we can go to the top of the leaf. And in here it's important to check symmetry. For example, this dot in here is bigger than this, but it's pretty important that we keep symmetry. And then we can check the distance that is right in the middle. So same thing here. We're gonna make one dot here and one dot here, and then we go down following the line of the design. And of course we check symmetry, and in here I have to project my destination, let's say, and then see. So this is a way to keep the shapes as similar as possible. I have to clean my tool every now and then. It's important to clean the tool. Yeah, and this is how we have created ourselves a stencil. Okay, and look, this is something that we have to check. For example, on these elements we have used the molds, the tiny molds, and the shapes, they look much more similar. In here, in the case of the leaves, we have been using just observation. And of course this is a matter of practice, but you will be checking that without a mold it is much more difficult to keep the shapes. For example, these two are more similar. This is not that it's really it's not that wide. It's smaller than these two. So yes, these are things that I want you to observe and to test and see how you feel much more comfortable with. And now we're going to start creating. Another thing that I want you to note is when you are dotting, this system is different than geometric one we created. In here we have created a small stencil ourselves. But when you're working dotting, sometimes you set a dot in the middle and then you develop the ideas from that dots till the end of your surface or when you're tired. When you create a stencil, you design, you sketch on surface, and then you fill out the shapes. This is another difference that I want you to know about the different type of work. And I think in the end of this mandala, let's put all the mini mandalas together and analyze the differences, the different kind of works we have been working on lately. So yes, how to fill these up? There are many ways to fill them up. I'm just going to give some ideas here. I'm just gonna pick some colors and come back to you. So there are many ways to fill this out, and of course we're gonna make some art here that is gonna be looking great. I think I like these colors. I feel like these colors. Let's start with some magenta. And I think we're going to combine with some blues and also with some aquamarine in the end. I think it's gonna look nice. So I'm gonna be taking straight from the bottle because this paint is new. And one way we're gonna start with arabesque, okay? And I'm still using these sticks. So we can make a dot here, and we can walk the dots following the shape of the arabesque inside. Then when I pick paint, I just have to be careful that I drop the tear here and then I go inside. And then we have to observe differences here. This is normal that happens, okay? For example, I'm gonna set a big dot here and then do smaller dots till I get here. And it's important to keep even dots. See, for example, let's observe. This is just observation. I'm not looking here for perfection. I want you to observe what might happen. See, in here, they're not that equal. The dots, the shape of the dots. In here, it's much more symmetric. See? And these are the kind of things that as an educator, it's important to show students. Then also here we have to observe the distances and see. We have to search for symmetry in all this. We set a bigger dot. Look, that this big dot has to be similar for the all four. Otherwise, it's not going to look that precise. In the end, regardless of precision, it's gonna be looking beautiful. But we have to move to precision to be much more precise as we develop art. But I wanted to show that you will be finding these differences unless you are an experienced daughter. You will be understanding. It's important to observe well to develop this observation skill. Then this is a fuchsia color. It's like a dark pink. We call it fucsia in Spanish and also in Portuguese. And then again, we're gonna make a center dot here, a line. I'm just gonna make the center dot and check where this is going to, sorry about that, to take me. we get to see, we get to observe what to do next. So what I would do is just to pick little paints, to load my tool with little paint and just maybe make 3 dots. See, because then the space here is really small. See, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Then also, this is like making the peacock, but backward. Instead of making first the center dots, we are creating this inner shape here. Make sure your dots are not as separated from this. They're not separate from the first line. They have to be together, okay? Okay, and then I was thinking of maybe having, this is like a pink for orchid, the name is orchid. There are so fancy names. It's a pink, but it's not bubblegum pink. I'm using the back side of to make these dots that I think should be inside in the center. And look, I'm having a problem here. The back side of this, it's been used, so it lost its shape. So I'm gonna be using just the pencil to create these center dots. So I think I'm gonna take this straight from the bottom. See, I need to load with much more paint to get as a big dots. And then I think there is something really beautiful we could do here with that fuchsia color. Just green. You can use any colors you like for this. I'm thinking of maybe making a bigger dot here and then going towards the center. And then making a bigger dot here along with this line and walking the dots just like that. I'm going to be following the shape, the outer shape. It's gonna be like this. There are many ways to fulfill this. Sorry, I got allergies. I'm going to explain further. I pick little paint and load my tool with little paint. Then I'm just below the peak of this arabesque shape. I place a dot and then I walk the dots till the dots become tiny. This should be aligned with these 2 dots actually, but I just want to show how it is, and then we look for precision. And then I'm gonna load with little paint and I'm gonna make 2 lines beside the center line, always walking the dots, and I'm going always to start from the top part of the arabesque towards the center of these pink dots, just like that. There are many ways, as I said. This is one of them I want to show. Then we can have again these big dots. I'm gonna look for a better alignment here. And the secret here is the amount of paint you load your tool with. You cannot load with too much paint. It has to be really, really little paint. And you have to control your hands pretty much. So since the space is really small, it's rather small, of course it's not gonna be that easy to appreciate the visual effect. So we're moving from here, but still it's gonna look really nice. Then to the left and to the right, I create these are like parallel, but because of the shape of the arabesque, it's gonna open up just like this, like a fan. And I think the challenge on this one is that we're dealing with too much detail into a small, super small space. Great. Then let's change colors to have different views on this. Before we actually switch colors, I was thinking that maybe work on some swooshes here with the point of the pencil. I'm just gonna make 2 dots. They have to be parallel. They have to be equal in size, and they have to be aligned just like that. And then I'm going to swoosh the paint following the shape of the arabesque. I'm just gonna follow the system. And then, of course, we can always make them much more similar. And if we want texture, what my advice would be first to find the perfect shape, and once you're done with shape and you want texture, then you apply more paint and just drag the paint carefully without touching much the surface, just dragging it just like that. Just gonna show what I plan to do. Then we can have, these are really small dots. This is like a blue for this hortensia flower. I love inspiration from flower. Then we pick also little paint. We can make a center dot here, actually a bigger dot. And then we can walk the dots on top of the arabesque, just like this. Okay, just gonna show what my plans are. And then we can take fuchsia again, and we can make then here another 2 dots. We can have him even more paint. Sorry, and with the wood stick, we just make another swoosh like this. Following this shape here. Shall we repeat the process then? Let me organize the paints here. So first, I'm gonna be using the pencil, and on top of this arabesque, I'm going to make two dots just like that, and I'm going to be following the shape of the arabesque. These shapes are not that easy, and you know, making them exactly perfectly symmetric takes a while. As I said, I don't want you to show you here perfection. I want you to show how to make them and all the possibilities you might find on the way, because it's not from an educational point of view. It's better to show as many situations you can come across as possible during the construction of your mandala, of course. And then in here, we're gonna make again these 2 big dots. Again, we're going to be following the flow here. Towards the right and towards the left. And as I said, it's not gonna be very easy. It's going to be, you're gonna find out. Look, for example, in these sushis are bigger than these. You will find all these situations when you are creating your mini mandala, and it's gonna be okay. What I want you now, it's to observe, and then you can create the one that is perfect in terms of precision. Yeah. For example, we can always be consistent in terms of let me make these 2 smaller. Let me make these 2 smaller, the ones that are in front here. Another thing you will always find is that it's easier to work on one side than working on the other side. This is something that also you will be able to acknowledge. Also try to If you feel your swoosh is dry, try to add more paint. If it doesn't have texture and you're looking for texture, and don't touch the surface, just drag the swoosh. And then we're going to pick some blue paints and make these bigger center dots. And then we're going to go walking the dots to the right and walking the dots to the left. And observe, sometimes we pick less paint, so these dots are bigger than this. How do you correct this? You pick more paint and then you adjust the size of these dots to make them equal. Then in here, again we place, I want you to play with different tools. If you have dotting tools, of course you can always use them. There's no restriction. But I would like you to test using other things. See, you can, this one is it's different. You can always adjust. Okay, and then in here you can make them more curvy or more, just a second. And then again we have here the blue. Also, there's no right, how can I say, order to do things. You can work one side completely and then do the others, or you can do all the pinky, all the pink arabesques. Then you can go and do the blue, walking the dots. Then you can go for the magenta. And also, for example, if you're uncomfortable that all the shapes are not exactly the same, you can always erase and go back, make this one bigger, make them more equal. I mean, as I said before, my intention here is more than showing you perfection, is all the possible things that can come along. And well, we're working on these and the decisions you will face while making them. So yes, then we can see, look, all the shapes that can come along here. See, and also, for example, as I said, do note that sometimes it's easier to swoosh from one side to the other than the other. I mean, to the left or to the right. To me, it's easier to swoosh to the right than switching to the left. It's much easier, but that depends on every person. So how to keep symmetry, how to keep all this shape as you know, as similar as possible. Can I swoosh on one stroke? Of course you can. You're free to do that. I prefer swooshing little by little and making adjustments. And of course we can always make this tiny dot in the center. And let's think about a nice color for our lips. I think I'm gonna go for greens like this. I think they're beautiful. This paint is nice. I'm gonna give it a try again with the back side of the so right in the middle of the leaf we can make a bigger dot that occupies, let's say, the mid part of the leaf. As much as possible. And then I think with the pencil we can make one dot on top and one dot. For example, in this one you need another dot, so in this one, smaller one. So it's gonna be a big dot in the center. It's gonna be one dot towards the center here in the leaf and two dots on top of the big dot. And then we can just pick the other green color that I hope, it's a little bit dry. Let's take another color like this one, for example. This green, I think it's better. I'm not gonna work paint consistency now, just and then we can add these tiny dots here in these on these gaps. I'm just picking a little paint and then making this. Alrighty, we can let it dry. And now I am considering for filling out these parts. I'm kind of liking these colors here. These are blue colors that I think will look very nice. So what I'm going to do is just to make some random dots here with this blue color. So there are many techniques I learned in this class for MiniMandala number 9. Many things to consider in terms of shape, in terms of distance, before we move towards a more sacred geometric design next week. I want you to think a little bit on this one, and also, for example, if you feel like filling the gaps here inside, you can do so. I think I'm first going to fill these out, and then I'm going to see what else we can do. I'm gonna take also this other blue. Take the blues you like, the blue colors you love, and I'm gonna make some blue dots just to fill out the space. Sometimes it's good to wait for them to be dried so you can fill with new dots. Yeah, I just love dotting this way because it's not pretentious, it's simple. It helps cover, let's say. And we don't have much more stress of keeping perfection or so. It's really, really, really nice dotting just like this. I think I need maybe it would be nice to dot with the lighter blue. Yeah, to give it more light. We can always fulfill this mid part too. I would say with a darker color, just like this darker blue. Yeah, so I'm gonna pick this light blue color. Just gonna take, and I'm gonna be fulfilling these small spots. I just have to be very careful because this paint is much more liquid, so it kind of mixed up with these dots in. I'm gonna have to fix that one later on. Yeah, so this is one that I will have to fix later. this is pretty much it. I hope you have enjoyed this class, even if this mandala is a little bit different from what we've been working on. I hope I given you valuable tips to develop new ideas. And yes, I hope you enjoy this fully. I hope you practice lots of soft skills here with this mini mandala, and I hope you do like your class and you create a beautiful coffee tray. See you in the next video.